Rapper Pooh Shiesty was in a Dallas courtroom for allegedly holding Gucci Mane at gunpoint. Born Lontrell Williams Jr., he is among 9 suspects now facing charges in the alleged kidnapping and robbery of fellow rapper Gucci Mane at a Dallas recording studio back in January. Williams was released from federal prison just last October after serving 3 years for gun crimes in Florida. And prosecutors say a conviction this time around could bring as much as life in prison. We will have a full breakdown of what happened in court coming your way at 6 o'clock.
Williams Jr. and 8 co-conspirators, several of whom traveled from Memphis, Tennessee, executed a coordinated armed takeover. As alleged, Williams Jr. produced an AK-style pistol and forced one of the victims to sign a release from the recording contract at gunpoint.
Again, this was a hearing for a judge to determine bond and to determine if there's enough probable cause for the case to move forward. And so in this case, a federal agent took the stand to testify about some of the evidence they have against the defendants, and apparently some of the evidence they don't have. So while it's clear the agents have evidence that places the defendants at or near the location of the incident, they don't have any hard evidence for more than that. And before you ask about a video of Gucci signing the release paperwork, the criminal complaint specifically says, quote, Wright pulled out a cell phone and purported to record RD signing the paperwork while being forced to say that he, quote, released Williams Jr. from the contract. And the little 2 at the end is a footnote. And the footnote says, quote, according to BP's statement to law enforcement, he witnessed Wright pointing a cell phone at RD inside the recording room, but assumed at the time that Wright was taking pictures for social media. So the language here seems to be what's key, and that it says Big 30 purported to record. Purported, meaning appeared or seemed to be recording. Now, the streets are saying there is video of Gucci signing the paperwork, but at this time, the feds are saying they don't have it. So this really could come down to testimony from the victims. But I'm not a lawyer. And clearly, the real lawyers are already doing what lawyers do. So we'll see what happens. Oh, and the judge confirmed there is probable cause, so the case is moving forward.
I don't do this no man. Come on, man. I don't want to drive this shit, man. I don't be wanting to drive. I don't be wanting to do this shit, man. I'm a low-key nigga, man. I'm a motherfucking nigga. I'm more of a Slim from Cash Money than a Birdman type nigga, though. But, you know, I get on my Birdman shit, though. Yeah, fuck you, tell me. Cuz, why this man out here pissing on people? Shit, man, all these bad. What's wrong with him? Get him. Cuz, you ain't no king. Hey, cuz, you ain't no meal break. Cuz, you ain't no kill that. He protected them. He kept them humble. He kept them 100. And kept away from around some suckers and pluckers. I prayed for them, man. My young nigga looks so good, man. My whole family here. Do you know how good I feel? It's hard to get people together. It's hard to get people together and be quiet. But if you fucking play with me, they already know my own 100. Don't listen to these people, man. My own 100, man. I'm too 100. That's why they be talking about me. Lying and deceit. Going against me. I'm too 100. 100. On a whole nother level, though. Now I switch that shit up. I'll be 0.
Williams Jr. at the offense location, which would put him in violation of his home detention conditions. Cell phone records and license plate reader data corroborating the coordinated travel of multiple defendants from Memphis, Tennessee to Dallas. Rental car records confirming Williams Sr. rented a vehicle that was used by the group. Surveillance footage from the offense location, a nearby office supply store, and a hotel where several of the defendants stayed following the offense. Fingerprint evidence as well that was recovered from the crime scene, matching at least 2 of the defendants. Case should serve as a warning to others who believe that using violence and intimidation tactics to rob others in our community is a viable way to conduct business. I'm here to say that it is not, and that if you choose to do this, we will, together with our law enforcement partners here and the other ones in the Northern District of Texas, will bring you swiftly to justice.
At this point, your ass is already in too deep. All right, y'all, so let's continue the simplification for those who don't understand, because a lot of y'all would read this shit and be confused. But this is one of the most important parts of the entire case. First off, this is called an affidavit. Let me break it down real simple. This is basically the FBI saying, hey, we putting this shit in writing, we swear this on the oath, and we believe this is true based on our investigation. So the person writing this is, of course, FBI special agent. That's not just a random officer, that's federal law enforcement. And she's basically introducing herself like, hey, I've been trained, I worked on robberies, kidnapping, violent crime, I know how criminals get the fuck down. Now let me simplify what that really means. She's just simply telling the judge, I'm experienced enough to recognize when something is organized, I know what setup looks like, and I know how people plan crimes. And this part right here is key. She says she understands how people use cell phones, vehicles, and social media to commit crimes. So let me translate that for y'all again. That means from the jump, they're already looking at digital evidence, not just what happened, but how it was actually coordinated piece by piece. Now this next paragraph is real important. She says the affidavit is based on the following: her own knowledge and information from other officers and people involved. So I'm gonna simplify that too. This ain't just one person talking. This is multiple sources, multiple pieces of information, all being put together to make this puzzle make complete sense. And then she says something a lot of people miss. She says, I have not included every fact. That's a major red flag for the people who want to get out of this shit. That means what you're reading right now is only part of what they actually know. So let me say it again so it hits. This is not the full case. This is just enough to get the charges rolling and approved. So just simply imagine what they're not showing yet. And then she says this phrase right here. Their favorite one, probable cause. Let me break that down real simple. That means the FBI is telling the judge we have enough evidence to reasonably believe that this crime happened and these motherfuckers are involved. And once they establish probable cause, that's when the court says, all right, we can move forward with the charges. Let's round them up, lock them up, and hit them with the charges. So let me simplify this whole page for you in real life terms. The FBI is saying we investigated this, we gathered evidence from multiple sources, we understand how this was planned, and we have enough to officially charge them. And that part y'all gotta understand is this. This ain't even trial yet. This ain't conviction yet. This is just the beginning. So everybody that's trying to write niggas off and get them 100 years, sit the fuck down and just patiently wait. Find you a life and something to do in the meantime. But anyway, we're not dealing with opinions anymore. We're dealing with the federal case that's already been built. All right, y'all, so the section that y'all currently seeing behind me now, this is where shit pretty much get real, and they're gonna start listing out niggas' whole governments. This is them officially listing out who they believe was involved, not rumors, not allegedly on the internet. These are the names the feds are putting in the case. You see all the names with date of birth, correct? That's how the federal system typically identifies people. No confusion, no mix up. This is them saying these are the motherfuckers we are targeting in this investigation. And then they label them right there as is target suspects. So let me simplify that part too. That means these are the people that the FBI believes are directly involved in the situation. This is who this entire case will be built around. So let's go back up to the paragraph at the top, because this is the legal language that most people usually don't understand. It says knowingly, combining, conspiring, and agreeing. I'm gonna break that down as well. That means the government is saying these people didn't just show up. They agreed to do this together, and they were absolutely working as a team. And then they list all these words: seizing, confining, decoying, kidnapping, abducting. Y'all, that's not just extra wording. That's the law covering every way that someone can be taken or controlled. And let me translate that into real terms. They simply saying the motherfucker was lured in, they was trapped, they couldn't leave, and it was done for the purpose of money, control, and benefit. Now, this is the part right here where it gets real clear. See that section, going back to that probable cause word, the overview of the kidnapping. You see these pictures? That's surveillance footage. This ain't somebody telling the story. This is camera footage being used as actual evidence. As you can see, it says around 3:27 p.m. His father's outside of the building and on the phone. And then around 3:28 p.m. he enters the building. Let me slow that down for y'all. They are tracking this man minute by minute if you ain't picking up what they putting down. And I'm explaining why that matters. Because in federal, in state too, but in federal cases, time is evidence. If they can show where you were and when you were there, that connects you to everything that happens in the next frame of things. Let's keep going. At around 3:39 p.m., a studio employee shows up. And when that employee arrives, they see both him and his father at the back door arguing on the phone. I'm gonna translate again. What the feds are simply showing at this moment, y'all, is that people are already in position. They already communicating and something is going on before the real shit pop off, aka the robbery, kidnapping, XYZ. Now watch this part, because this is where it gets real structured. At 3:43 p.m., they say multiple suspects entered the building together. Not one person, not two, but goddamn multiple. And they list them all out, walking through the lobby, going into the studio, digging in their nose, farting, anything a nigga could do, they got it rolled out here. I'm gonna simplify it again. This is what they call coordinated movement. That's how they build conspiracy, because now it looks like people arriving together, moving together, and entering together. And this is the part right here where shit gets super duper critical. They say one of the individuals leaves the building and then comes back with a bag over his shoulder. I'm gonna pause it right there, right? Because this is where the feds start to build their own narrative. What they're doing in this moment is very simple and a normal tactic. They're showing movement in and out, a bag being brought in right before all the bullshit goes down. And if you connect that to what we already talked about, and also a weapon coming from the bag, you can already tell where they're going with this. This is how they build a story without even fucking speaking.
As Johnson is being involved in the kidnapping robbery, and that during the control room robberies, Johnson possessed a firearm and held BP and others at gunpoint. Both MM and BP identified individuals they know as KD, later identifies Waters, also being involved in the kidnapping robbery. MM was choked. Okay, so MM was the cameraman. From behind to the point of nearly losing consciousness during the kidnapping robbery, resulting in scratches of his neck and wrist. MM was robbed of his Rolex watch, a Louis Vuitton bag containing multiple high other dollar watches, Apple AirPods, and his wallet at gunpoint by Glover. MM confirmed his Louis Vuitton bag, AirPods, and wallet each had an Apple AirTag. The victim's security guards watched Big 30 barricade the door, attempted to force their way into the control room, but were prevented from entering. With handguns drawn, CW and TD managed to partially open the door, but recognized they were outnumbered by the armed targets. Terrence Rogers, same exact jacket with the weird lines on it, as you can see. Demarion Gibson, same Supreme beanie, I think. DeMarcus Glover, same exact, I think, True Legend hoodie. Darian McDaniel, same Supreme hoodie. All right, now they got fucking fingerprints from the crime scene. Latent fingerprints from the red Solo Cup were identified as Gibson, another one as Rogers. Cameraman and BP and Gucci all personally knew Pooh Shiesty. They all described Pooh Shiesty as wearing a black Nike brand Shiesty mask, black hooded shirt, and black pants during the offense.